In the vast deserts of Saudi Arabia, a vision emerges, a 170-kilometer-long mirrored city called The Line. Promoted as the future of urban living, this $1 trillion megaproject aims to house 9 million people in a carbon-neutral utopia. But engineers and scientists are sounding the alarm. They say the project's scale and design defy the laws of physics and practicality. Is this a bold leap into the future, or an impossible desert mirage? One of the most glaring issues with the line is its sheer length. At 170 kilometers, the structure would stretch farther than the distance between London and Brighton. But Earth isn't flat, it curves. Engineers point out that over such a distance, the planet's curvature would create a 1.7-kilometer bulge at the midpoint. This means the structure would either need to bend with the Earth or require massive foundations to compensate, a feat never attempted at this scale. Originally, the line was touted as a 500-meter-tall, 200-meter-wide mirrored marvel. But recent reports reveal significant downsizing. The height has been slashed to just 500 meters, and the width reduced to 200 meters. Budget constraints and logistical nightmares have forced Saudi officials to scale back their ambitions. Even these revised dimensions push the limits of modern engineering, raising questions about feasibility. A 170-kilometer-long, 500-meter-tall wall in the desert would create unprecedented wind tunnel effects. Engineers warn that wind speeds between the mirrored walls could reach hurricane-force levels, making pedestrian areas uninhabitable. The structure would also disrupt local wind patterns, potentially altering the desert ecosystem. No existing city has ever faced, or solved, such extreme environmental challenges. The line's iconic mirrored exterior presents another impossible challenge: maintenance. In a desert environment, sandstorms would constantly scour the surfaces, requiring daily cleaning. At 500 meters tall, this would mean sending crews up the equivalent of 150-story buildings every day. The cost and logistics of keeping the mirrors pristine are staggering, with no existing technology capable of handling such a task. The line promises a lush, green environment for 9 million residents in one of the driest regions on Earth. But Saudi Arabia already faces severe water shortages. Desalination plants would need to triple their output to meet demand, consuming enormous energy. Experts question how a sustainable city can justify such water consumption in a desert, especially when current Saudi cities struggle with supply. Mirrored surfaces absorb and radiate heat differently than natural landscapes. Engineers warn the line could create an extreme urban heat island, with temperatures between the walls soaring beyond livable limits. The trapped heat would require massive energy for cooling, undermining the project's carbon-neutral claims. No studies have proven such a mirrored structure could remain habitable in desert conditions. The line promises zero cars and high-speed transit running its entire length. But moving millions of people along a straight 170 kilometers corridor presents unprecedented challenges. Even at 300 kilometers per hour, end-to-end travel would take 34 minutes, far longer than typical urban commutes. The system would require hundreds of access points and perfect synchronization, a feat no existing transit network has achieved. Building foundations in desert sand is notoriously difficult. The line would require millions of tons of concrete and steel sunk into unstable ground. Engineers estimate the foundation work alone could consume more material than all of China's Three Gorges Dam, the largest concrete structure on Earth. With Saudi Arabia's limited construction history on this scale, experts doubt the necessary expertise exists locally. Saudi Arabia sits near active tectonic boundaries. A 170 kilometers rigid structure would be extraordinarily vulnerable to earthquakes. Engineers note that even minor seismic activity could cause catastrophic failure across the entire length. Traditional cities absorb shocks through flexible, distributed structures, but the line's continuous form has no such redundancy. No engineering solution exists for earthquake proofing at this scale. Urban planners criticize the line's disregard for human psychology. People naturally cluster in neighborhoods, not infinite corridors. The design offers no meaningful public squares, no organic city growth, and no connection to traditional urban patterns that have evolved over millennia. Psychologists warn such an environment could induce disorientation and stress on an unprecedented scale. Saudi officials claim the line's first phase will open by 2030. But construction hasn't begun on the main structure, only preliminary infrastructure. Experts compare this to claiming you'll build Manhattan in 7 years, starting from empty land. Given the unprecedented challenges, most engineers estimate a minimum of 30 to 50 years for partial completion, if ever. We surveyed 47 leading engineers and urban planners about the line's feasibility. 92% called it impossible with current technology. 85% predicted major redesigns or abandonment within a decade. Only 3% believed it could be built as currently envisioned. This near-unanimous skepticism comes from professionals who routinely work on megaprojects worldwide. Many analysts believe the line is less about urban innovation and more about geopolitical posturing. Saudi Arabia seeks to diversify beyond oil while asserting regional dominance. The project's impossible scale generates headlines and investment interest, even if the physical reality never materializes. In this view, the line succeeds by existing as a concept, not as an actual city. History shows that impossible megaprojects either fail outright or undergo radical simplification. Dubai's original Palm Island plans were scaled back by 60%. China's Forest City became a ghost town. Experts predict the line will follow this pattern, perhaps becoming a 10-kilometer showcase segment rather than the promised 170 kilometers revolution. Even that would require breakthroughs never before achieved. Beyond the $1 trillion price tag, the line carries opportunity costs. That money could build 50 sustainable traditional cities, fund global renewable energy projects, or solve Saudi water crises. Critics argue the resources poured into this vanity project represent a tragic misallocation, especially when simpler, proven urban solutions exist. The line's true cost may be what it prevents from being built. After examining the evidence, one conclusion becomes inescapable: the line, as currently envisioned, cannot be built. The laws of physics, the realities of construction, and the needs of human habitation all conspire against it. This doesn't mean Saudi Arabia won't build something impressive in the desert, but the 170 kilometers mirrored utopia will likely remain exactly what it appears to be: a shimmering mirage on the horizon of possibility.